Most people think Porsche is just a car brand for people with too much money and not enough personality. Wrong. Porsche is the only manufacturer on the planet where the cheapest thing they sell starts at $63,000. That is the entry fee, and there is still a waiting list. People can figure them online at 2 in the morning without ever having sat in one. Something is going on here. Today, 7 levels of Porsche, from the SUV that pays the bills to the investment fund with a steering wheel. And if you think this is just for people with a yacht collection, wait until we get to level 5. Macan. The base Macan starts at $63,000. It is a 5-door compact SUV, and it is the best-selling Porsche in the world, not the 911, not the Cayenne. Let that sit. The bait play is fully operational here. Turbocharged 4-cylinder, 261 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 6 seconds on the base model. The Macan S bumps to 375 horsepower and 4.6 seconds. The GTS hits 440 horsepower. This is not a luxury SUV with sports car ambitions. It is a sports car that agreed to carry your luggage. Here is the thing nobody mentions at the dealership though. The gas Macan, the one at 63 grand, is essentially the same platform from over a decade ago with updated clothes. Porsche knows. You will find out after you sign. Meanwhile, the electric Macan showed up at $78,000, built from the ground up on a new platform, shared with a German competitor. A completely different machine in the same body. Who buys the gas Macan? The person who needs that crest on the steering wheel and is willing to pay the premium for it. And here is the honest truth about that trade. Even with the aging platform, the Macan still drives better than 90% of SUVs on the market. Porsche does not make bad cars. They make expensive ones. Big difference. Run the total cost math before you sign though. The insurance, the maintenance, the parts, that $63,000 sticker price hits different after year 1. Cayenne. If the Macan is the bait, the Cayenne is the net. This car has been keeping Porsche solvent since 2002. When it launched, the purists went nuclear. An SUV. Selling the soul. Porsche basically responded, "This SUV is why we can keep making the 911. You are welcome." Base Cayenne starts around $77,000. Twin turbo V6, 348 horsepower. The S steps up to 474 with a V8. And then there is the Turbo GT, 729 horsepower in an SUV. That weighs over 2 tons with 729 horsepower doing 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. That is faster than a 2010911 Carrera base. In a vehicle where you can fit 7 people and a Labrador, there is something deeply disturbing and genuinely impressive about that at the same time. The Cayenne is also going fully electric in 2026, set to be the fastest electric SUV the brand has ever made. Porsche betting on the future without abandoning what got them here. The Cayenne buyer is the guy with 2 kids, a ski trip every winter, a dog, and who still refuses to accept he is not the same person who drove something exciting at 28. The Cayenne lets him keep that story going. It is not a cheap illusion. It is a very well executed one. Panamera, the most misunderstood car Porsche has ever made. When it arrived in 2009, the forums declared it an abomination. Ugly? Wrong. The brand had lost the plot. 16 years later, the Panamera is still here, and those forum guys are in Korean crossovers. Base starts around $92,000. The 4SE Hybrid lands around $120,000. The Turbo SE Hybrid at the top of the range produces 771 combined horsepower from the V8 and electric motors. 771 horsepower in a 4-door sedan. For context, that is what a 2005 Bugatti flagship had. But the Panamera has a trunk and rear seat climate control. What makes the Panamera genuinely special is not the number. It is the fact that you cannot figure out which of 2 things it is: sports car disguised as a sedan, or sedan disguised as a sports car. Both answers are correct simultaneously. Rear seats with more room than a flagship Mercedes, and the same car does 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. That duality is the Panamera's entire identity, and nothing else on the market occupies the same space. The buyer is the person who has board meetings in the morning and needs to arrive feeling something, not just arriving. That person exists and is willing to pay for it. 911 Carrera. This is where Porsche stops being a car company and becomes a belief system. The 911 has existed since 1963. Over 6 decades with the same fundamental concept: rear engine, rear-wheel drive, coupe body. The entire industry said it was a mistake. Rear engine makes the car unstable. Basic physics. Porsche answered with 60 years of engineering. Turns out physics works for them just fine. Base 911 Carrera today starts at $120,000. 388 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds in real-world testing. Not Porsche's own numbers. Flat 6 engine, 6 cylinders in a boxer layout, same concept since the 60s, now with forced induction and modern technology. But the number that actually matters with the 911 is not the sticker price. It is the resale curve. The 911 has one of the lowest depreciation rates of any production car. Buy a new Carrera today, and in 5 years you have lost dramatically less than any comparable performance car from other German brands. Some variants have appreciated. A 911 is not just a car, it is a place to park money that also does 0 to 60. In 3.5 seconds, the archetype here is the person who spent a decade buying other cars chasing that feeling, and eventually accepted there is only one place to find it. Carrera T and GTS. Here's the information Porsche's marketing department will not volunteer at the dealership, because if they did, nobody would buy up the range. The 911 Carrera T starts a few thousand above the base Carrera. 6-speed manual as standard, sports suspension lowered, less sound deadening so you can actually hear the engine. Rear seats deleted from the factory, Porsche charges you less money and gives you more car. It is the 911 the engineers would buy. No filler, no padding, just the car and the road. Then there is the GTS, and this is where something significant happened. The 2025-911 GTS is the first hybrid 911 in history. Porsche took the 3.6-liter flat 6, added an electric motor integrated into the turbocharger, and landed at 532 horsepower. It is quicker to 60 than the GT3. A GTS faster than a GT3. The engineering required to make that true is almost offensive to anyone who bought a GT3 last year. GTS starts around $175,000. It is probably the best 911 Porsche has ever made for actual daily street use. Not the most extreme, the best. There is a massive gap between those two things. If someone tells you the base 911 is enough, they are right. If someone tells you the GTS is too much, they have not driven one. GT3 and GT3 RS. Different territory entirely. The GT3 runs a 4.0-liter naturally aspirated engine, no turbo. It revs to 9,000 revolutions per minute. Formula One cars in the 90s were hitting 18,000. A street-legal Porsche is at 9,000 today. The sound that engine makes at full throttle has no equivalent. Nothing from a speaker system or any production process comes close. Zero comparison. GT3 starts around $170,000. The GT3 RS, with its active aerodynamics and race car-derived drag reduction system, is over $241,000. At MSRP, at dealerships, GT3 RS cars sell well above sticker. Waiting lists. People paying $50,000 over MSRP to jump the queue. Active rear wing, carbon doors, carbon roof, carbon hood, still weighs 3,197 pounds with all of that on it. Laps the Nürburgring faster than any production 911 outside the GT2. A car with license plates, heat, and a radio that is quicker around the most demanding road course on Earth than most race cars from 20 years ago. Worth noting, Porsche also makes the 718 range at this level. Mid-engine, more balanced by design. Engineering people argue the 718 GT4 RS is the purest car the brand builds. The problem is, it does not wear the 911 badge. In the Porsche world, that matters more than it should. 918 Spyder. Production ended, 918 units total, which is where the name came from, built between 2013 and 2015. Original price, $845,000. Current market value between 1.5 and 2.5 million depending on condition and configuration. A car that cost $845,000 new is now worth 2 to 3 times that. That is not a vehicle. That is an investment fund with a steering wheel and a roll cage. Naturally aspirated 4.6-liter V8 plus 2 electric motors. 887 combined horsepower. 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. In 2013, when the current smartphone generation was in elementary school, this car was doing 2.6 seconds. And then there is what is coming. The Mission X concept, if it ever reaches production, is targeting 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. The G-force during that acceleration approaches what a fighter pilot feels on takeoff. Built by the same brand that also sells the SUV you take to the grocery store. That is the full picture of Porsche. A brand that puts the same crest on a $63,000 entry point and a $2 million collector piece and has the engineering depth to justify both prices without flinching. From the Macan paying the bills to the 918 appreciating in someone's climate-controlled garage, through the 911 spending 6 decades proving that a fundamentally flawed concept executed with obsessive precision becomes the benchmark an entire industry measures itself against. Porsche is not the most rational choice. It is not the most practical. It rarely gives you the most car per dollar, but no other brand makes their buyers feel exactly what Porsche makes their buyers feel. And that, bro, has a price.